overly on it to actually find. So see if that's the case here. I'm gonna ask you to cover for. And I'm gonna apologies if I something, folks. We'll have to pay for them.
Oh, and then the Earthshaker pickup, the Mystery Machine, the classic Amali Burgos hero that's going to allow that Timbersaw to creep cut a little bit more. A very exciting pickup. I think that's where Mystery Machine really are going to kind of gel with each other. That's also your long range disable to not only break up the Nature's Prophet TP out, but also stopping the Bane channel on that feed script. Just a very solid, I want to say very niche pick here. Usually those melee fours are not as popular as we've seen a lot of the ranged fours come out. Coddle, Grimstroke, Shaman all come to mind as slotting in just a little bit nicer, at least in terms of those lanes. But that's where four Zoomers pick up the DK and DK Skywrath. It's into a Pugna. You certainly are going to need to find out where that little green man is playing. Otherwise, your damage is going to fall off pretty hard. But that's also where DK Skywrath Mage is still going to get something done. It's also where the DK is a very beautiful hero, where you have that hybrid mix of damage but also confidence from four Zoomers. Picking DK into Timbersoft, that is not a matchup you usually want to thrust yourself into, but I guess that's where they're just feeling very confident. I think that's also where perhaps we see Gunner taking up the DK and then we see him just landing versus the Storm Spirit, or at the same time, there is a lot of flexibility in four Zoomers draft. We could see them just kind of keep us guessing until that last overall pick, but I'm really wondering if this is going to kind of bite them because we do not see Timber versus DK for a very good reason. Of course, I think DK is one of the few strength heroes that can kind of deal with the matchup. You just simply Dragon Tail and run away, but running away from the Timbersaw is never really the best option. That's also where it is Mali Burgos' sole job to keep you in that Timbersaw's face. I think the Luna Ben's very nice here. I think that's exactly what Costabilo would want to play versus the Timbersaw. Already saw him bust that out yesterday. One of the few carry matchups where you have maybe a little bit more of an advantage versus that hero. But PL ban from four Zoomers, just keeping that Ultra Carry out of Double King's hands, it just makes sense. Any Ultra Carry going versus that NP is going to have any hope in this game. Most likely going to see the Terror Blade banned out as well from four Zoomers, just because any type of hero like that is going to make it almost impossible for them to take it to those later stages. Meanwhile, I think four Zoomers are probably going to just look for more activity in their mid laner. It just simply makes sense. But that's also where we don't know if they need a mid laner. And Dawnbreaker banned out. That's very different. That's a very fast Double King hero. And
Ooh.
Double King is the Double King. He's got the Wraith, arguably his best hero. I'm very pleased with this draft. Welcome back, Kmart.
I believe I have fixed it. The levels look stable, so yeah, the microphone is giving me some issues. Y'all got to see me fiddle with it live on camera. ET very graciously carried the crap out of me. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. And yeah, get to see Double King on the Wraith King. I mean, it's a kind of nasty lineup that Mystery Machine now have against four Zoomers who, outside of the DK, are not particularly durable right now. ET. So is that the direction that they try to go in? Do they try to maybe beef themselves up a little bit? Do you look for more damage at this point? And I suppose, is this still going to be the Costabile Nature's Prophet at the end of the day as well?
Yeah, it is a lot of questions to pose. I do not think that four Zoomers are upset with the DK Skylane versus the Wraith King. If anything, Z-Freak's probably the one upset there. But it's also where I think Gunner would love to be able to play Tusk in this game, but I simply think he cannot. They need that active hero. They need someone who's going to go in. They need someone who's going to overlap with that DK, but it just isn't there. I think if they really needed to, they could look for a hero like the Puck, but I feel like that's not really the best choice. Anything they go for really in that mid lane, aside from perhaps the Ember Spirit, but Ember's already banned out. All of the A-listers are kind of taken away right now, even though it doesn't feel like there are all too many bans on that mid lane. I feel like the easy choices are certainly taken away. Again, aside from the Tusk, I'm trying to think of other mid laners. You know, you could see the Lina, you'd see the Quap, but okay.
Okay.
Pango it is. That's your team fight. That's more team fight. But I don't know. Feel like Mystery Machine really kind of have something here with this draft. I feel like they really got exactly what they wanted. The Gunner Pango is certainly going to be pesky, especially when you do get that Diffusal Blade very early on. It puts almost a little bit of a timer on both the Storm and the Timbersaw. Can't just afford to stay around forever. But that's the beauty of the Pugna, right? That's the hero that lets you stay out. It's the hero that lets you keep those resources out onto the map. It's also where I think for Zoomers, there's about a 30% chance they just roll this one with their DK and their NP and they just take all of your outer towers, and Mystery Machine are really struck none the wiser. But if Mystery Machine get those early item timings, I'm talking about Blink on the ES, your Kaya on the Kaya or BKB on the Storm Spirit, your Hood of Defiance on the Timber, they can get a little bit of a game here going for us.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it looks like they've got something that's gonna work out for them, so long as they don't get blitzed in the first 10 to 15. So it shall see how this goes. We'll see how four Zoomers sort of deal with that Storm Spirit, and I'm just excited to see just how sort of effective Costabile can be. We saw what this sort of peak Nature's Prophet was capable of doing to teams before with that Sprout talent, so, well, you got to be a lot more wary of the Nature's Prophet as an offensive threat in today's game compared to what we were used to seeing in the past.
Yeah, and that certainly still is a dumb talent, a talent that I hate. I hate so much. Why is it like that? Why does it not tell you it's like that? There's so many aspects that just make me mad. But uh, game aside, and there certainly is that threat of just getting your Wraith King kited out for a very long time. It's where Four Zoomers certainly have a lot of tools when it comes to surviving, escaping, kiting you around the map. It's where they really kind of give themselves another uptick in picking the Pango, who is a very hard hero to kill, but also a hero that is just so pesky at all stages of the game. It's where simply TMM just need to find those easy initiations. They have 3 natural initiators and a Timbersaw running in to give you all the vision in the world. It really is just what they can make of it.
Mm-hmm. Got themselves a solid setup here. We'll see how it pans out, and worth taking note at this point in the sort of overall schedule, Mystery Machine are still very much in need of some points here. They're 1 win ahead of the Cut, who are still currently winless, but you would like to have a little bit more of a cushion here for the Mystery Machine, and they have what for now at least seems to be maybe not a favorable situation. That might be overstating it a little bit, but this is very much a winnable game for them against a regional rival. So see how they can pull this off as we get the fight started. Tib, though, that's a lot of damage, my dude. He's going to try and back away, but Gunner doesn't want to let him go. Swashbuckles onto the high ground, and, well, maybe a little bit of an overestimation of his durability there, especially with no reactive armor. So Tib does get punished, and 4 Zoomers are on the board already.
I must have blinked or something. I don't know where Maui Burgos ended up going. I think he was trying to get the bounty rune underneath Costabile, but instead, in doing so, is just not there for the fight because they had enough heroes on that rune. Just really was lacking in the Earthshaker there. Otherwise, I think that would have looked a lot cleaner, but hey, that's where this lane, at least early on, is going to be a little bit more difficult for Tib as Burgos tries to steal really not as much XP as he can, but it's also where I think in this lane, getting creep pulls is going to be very important for really both these heroes. Burgos needs levels of his own. Tib needs that solo XP. Unfortunately, taking a few tower shots there, but that's also where when it comes to creep pulling, the Nature's Prophet makes it so hard for you, just always having at least one treant to send over to mess with your own creep wave. It's almost impossible to ever get a favorable laning situation versus this hero.
Yeah, this is not going to be a scenario where Molly Burgos is going to have those opportunities, but the good news, at least if your Mystery Machine, is once Tib starts getting some of those levels up, once he has points in the reactive armor and this lane can sort of stabilize for him, then you at least free up space for the Earthshaker to start making rotations, and maybe mid and top is where he'll sort of be able to put those contributions in. So he's trying to snipe a courier right now. Ooh, not going to get it now with the tower shot chunking his health down a little bit as well. He might actually just get picked off here. That lone Treant's going to try to keep tabs on him. I think they got it. Yes, they do. Costabile gets the kill, and, well, we were saying it wasn't going to be a fun lane for Molly Burgos. That's just sort of case in point right there.
Yeah, a little bit strange from him. I think in addition to that, having the more regen-oriented start on the Shaker, it's not like he has Boots Tango. He's not the fastest fella. He is certainly going to feel those right clicks landing on him. And I think getting taken down, honestly, at least he used his mana before he died. As I think Moo is also getting hit up pretty hard here. Might get traded out.
They will lose Moo. Can Z-Freak make the trade? Empyrean is making him work for it. Z-Freak, I mean, I understand trying to get the ward, but Empyrean didn't actually run all the way out there, so if Z-Freak had chased him into the trees, he really was only 1 or 2 right clicks away from getting that kill, but we can see everything. Z-Freak obviously cannot. The Fog of War sort of makes it hard to go for that play, but now they're going to get Double King back into a fight here as Mu respawns, and your Wraith King really doesn't have much mana to defend himself with. They're going to lose him, and Empyrean might be in some trouble as well, but Mu, only the 1 point in the Dragon Tail, and it's on a bit of a cooldown there at the early level, so they're not able to chase any further, but they do bring down that opposing carry.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a bad habit to read between the lines, but I feel like Z-Freak doesn't go for it because if he did that, he gives Empyrean a death reset. He gets a free salve and a bunch of mana back to the hands of the Pugna, and I think because he actually avoids killing Empyrean there, they get the double king kill because you don't have that salve coming out. You don't have that courier giving that free HP. Of course, reading in between the lines, it's not a great thing to always talk about, but you could say that's just huge mind games from Z-Freak, as he is just that super veteran player.
Z-Freak out here playing 4D chess. He's on a level that we can't comprehend right now. So, yeah. Whether intentional or otherwise, that is still the result. Right? They don't get Empyrean, but you get the kill into Double King instead. So, it all works out for 4 Zoomers. Husky now is a bit of an interesting one. Drops down the ward. He's underneath an opposing ward pretty much the whole time, though. So, this is not exactly an efficient play. He blocked the camp at least, so won't be any sort of side camp to rotate into, but it's kind of strange. At least he's going to be able to make some sort of move. He dropped the ward, he can guard the rune, Gunner can refill his bottle, and this isn't a completely wasted trip.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that TMM have actually made this decision so early on to put Shaggy in the jungle, and he's gotten very lucky with his creep camp spawns. No pine cones, no mud golems. He is going to be able to farm up pretty easily here, but it's a very interesting decision to give Burgos this lane so soon. It's only 4 minutes into this game, and your Shaker's already taken over everything.
And, well, as I was saying sort of before with the bottom lane, you've got Tib on that Timber Saw. He's got 3 points in the reactive, so you don't really need a handler, a babysitter, whatever you want to call it. He can just sort of hold that by himself, and it's also part of the reason why Husky has been making some of these movements that he has, because Nature's Prophet doesn't need a whole lot of help down bot. But Husky, this is a bit of an awkward spot. Couple of heroes chasing after him, but Empyrean can't find the kill by himself, and Shaggy really doesn't want to leave these camps long enough to go chasing after this kill. So, Z-Freak coming over. Husky, meanwhile, snipes out, oh boy, both Shaggy and Empyrean's couriers. So, just being as disruptive as possible there in that jungle. And now, they could try to make a play onto this Earthshaker. I mean, Ollie still doesn't have a whole lot in the way of levels, so they could try to make the jump in onto him, but they have to get this creep wave up to the tower if they even want to consider it. And in the meantime, here comes Empyrean to try and break this one up, but, well, maybe he breaks it up by just dying himself. As they get the silence, they get the slow. Gunner does not get the kill there, but he's able to swashbuckle in for the assist. Now he's going to pop the Rolling Thunder. They want to go after Molly Burgos, who's now completely alone in that middle lane, and they should find the kill. Z-Freak picks it up. Costabile even TP's in to help put pressure on the tower, and that has to prompt a response from Mystery Machine. Tib TP's in. They're going to be bringing the Storm Spirit back over as well, and now they'll start the fight. Costabile in trouble. The Nightmare, though, is going to put the Timber Saw to sleep, but they're still losing a lot of health on their Nature's Prophet. They need to be able to get him out. Shaggy doesn't want to give up on the play, but he's disarmed now by Gunner. I think they still get this. Yes, they do. Costabile will fall. They would not be denied. And they want even more. Husky underneath the tower trying to dance. Got some stick charges, and a little bit of extra health will be enough for Tib to reconsider.
Yeah, really, it was looking pretty rough for TMM up until this point, but Shaggy just barely got his level 6 in the jungle, gets some TP, make that play happen, and they do get to take out Costabile. Like, not only that, they defend their tower, but Burgos is not so lucky, and unfortunately for TMM, for Zoomers, still find their 5-minute cart onto a tier 1. This is a very dead T1. They can't afford to defend here after defending mid.
Fortunately for TMM, this is the kind of pace of play that we were saying that they needed to be wary of falling prey to, right? For Zoomers, 6 kills on the board in 7 minutes. They're pressuring up these towers. They have caught Shaggy in the middle lane, but they don't have enough lockdown to actually do this. Husky's not even remotely close to level 6, so Nightmare into Dragon's Tail is nice, but it's not enough. But push Shaggy back, and meanwhile, hello Double King. This is not where you want to be. Slowed up, disarmed. Stabile snipes the kill there with his Wrath of Nature, and Well, Double King was just trying to mind his own business and farm. Forzumer's not going to let that happen.
Yeah, it's a little bit worrying, I think, if you're TMM here. It's where you're looking for lanes to farm, you're looking for lanes to give your very greedy heroes, and especially Burgos, he'd have so much time alone in the lanes, but it's also where I don't feel like Zoomers are really going to give you that free opportunity. Anyone that shows right now could just get TP'd on by Costabile, and you could just die so fast. It's where these very low cooldown ultimates, it's just the Zoomers' pace. They're going to look to use them at every opportunity. They got the tier 1 in mid pretty much off of attrition as well. It's where TMM really need to find something to do with Shaggy right now. They need to get their Storm Spirit involved in this game. Unfortunately, though, when you're scared, when you're behind, when you lose all your tier 1 towers, you don't get to play in the river nearly as much as you'd like to on the Storm.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a lot of opportunities to be aggressive, to be the tempo-setting hero that TMM need at the moment. So that could change. Triple Null is up and running. He's closing in on those power treads, so you have to assume there's going to be some sort of timing for him. But if Mystery Machine miss, if Shaggy goes in and doesn't find those kills, or even worse, actually gets turned on and killed off, then the window's just sort of slammed shut, and they just have to play defensively and wait for a later timing, I suppose, which is incredible that we're saying that pre-10 minutes, ET, but that's just the way that 4Zoomers have been able to apply this pressure.
Yeah, and Shaggy's doing a good job here. They're not exactly falling behind in farm all too quickly. In fact, they're farming 3 of the lanes right now, as Shaggy should hopefully narrowly avoid this nightmare. If he doesn't, he is pretty much just dead. It looks like he will be able to get out, but it's where they do have to play as if they almost have 4 cores here. They need to get farm on this Shaker, and Burgos is actually making quite good progress towards that Blink Dagger. And then everything needs to change on the map. Then you need to be finding those plays. That's going to be your second initiator. That's someone to actually help Tib finish off a lot of these kills. But that's where, unfortunately, TMM don't really get to play with each other all too much here, especially before the level 10 timing. Nobody's got their level 6 on the support side of things, aside from Burgos, who has gotten so much XP by himself, but it's where it is a very greedy Shaker.
Yeah, they are explicitly trying to feed extra golden experience into Molly Burgos' hands, so it does make sense that he's hit that mark, and very interesting to see Z-Freak just sort of shadow him for so long here, not really doing a whole lot other than just keeping tabs on the lane, as we do see Costable TPing his way in, so I suppose that's what Z-Freak was there for. Give the all clear to his teammate. Is now, what's going on mid?
Huge.
Nope. Gonna get jumped in on. He's pretty tanky, but shouldn't be tanky enough to survive this unless Gunner can save the day. No, he can't. His teammate will still go down, but already committed the Rolling Thunder. He's got to try and make something happen. Pushing in here, getting multiple hits onto these heroes, but they need more damage. The Wrath of Nature comes through, but that's really the only contribution Sabale can make, because he used his TP to get up here in the first place, so not a whole lot to be done there by Gunner. They lose Moo, and Mystery Machine get a little bit of room to breathe here.
Yeah, and that's where 4Zoomers, it's this trio of Husky, Gunner, and Moo spend so much time walking around into the dire triangle, and they did get a lot of deep vision. They got a few D wards. They were certainly getting their job done, but in not finding any kills, I feel like TMM kind of filled the space that they were allowing for them, and now Maui Burgos has an 11-minute Blink Dagger. Of course, this is a lot of time that they did have to spend giving it over to him, as Shaggy makes a huge zip on a Z-Freak from the outpost. And that should just be a dead Z-Freak. I think Burgos, unless he gets hit by the Nature's Wrath that isn't even available, he could die, but unless Kusubile wants to die for it, I think he's going to walk away. This is their timing, honestly. TMM, they have a smoke. They've got Echo Slam still. They find a big kill onto the Pango, especially. This game could start really turning on its head.
Mystery Machine have managed to sort of sidestep a little bit of that early aggression that had been putting them on the back foot earlier on. Now they're in a position to fight back and realistically win fights that just weren't available to them before. So see what they look to do. Do have to get that Earthshaker involved. Molly Burgos will heal up, but he's got the smoke in his inventory already, so gonna look to do something here. The question is, well, where does Molly TP to, and direction do they look to go in? Honestly, if they just barrel their way towards mid, they're probably going to run into someone valuable, but we shall see, because that Earthshaker has still not left the fountain. There we go.
Yeah, he's coming. He's prowling. Probably going to give Shaggy a bottle refill if he really wanted to. Guess not. Just going to instead smoke with the Storm Spirit. And now Costabile is a pretty neat grab as well. I feel like as soon as he sees them, and actually the Radiant Scan misses, so maybe Costabile feels a little bit more confident here, but They need to place the high ground ward, and they need a stroke of luck. If they see him in the large camp, I think they got him.
Gonna jump.
Oh, wow.
They're in. Costable's in trouble. They're going to try to chunk him down as fast as they can, and they should find this kill. Of course, the counterplay did come out at the same time from 4Zoomers. They were able to catch Tib near the middle lane, so it is a one-for-one trade-off, but Tib is not worth as much as the Nature's Prophet at this point, gold-wise, so Mystery Machine are able to make that happen. Now they need to be a little bit careful, though. Gunnar does have his ult, and he is on the hunt. Good defensive play there. Just get Shaggy out of the fight, and Molly Burgos will almost certainly have to die for this, but he's done his job.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, never mind. Sea Freak says, no, no, no. You are not getting away. So, they will find themselves a couple of kills, but the loss of Costabile is a tough blow for them. Although, he's already back up, TP's himself down bot, didn't miss out on too much time, but I do still like the fact that Mystery Machine are trying to take the initiative here.
Yeah, and I really think they can swing for top on 4Zoomers there just because of how little they actually needed to commit for Tib. Just simply caught the Timbersaw in between the lanes, as we always say. It's the easiest way to kill a Timbersaw early on is to just find him in those unlikely situations, but I think that's also where TMM are getting their big items. BKB is on the table for High Shaggy, is going to be completed in pretty much one component here. You'd love to see maybe a little bit more farm on Double King. I think he's just barely finishing off his armlet. His timings are a little bit rough in this game, but it's going to be a huge increase in their team fight capabilities once he gets that Blink Dagger. Then you can actually see them, I think, take that big team fight where they're going on 3 or 4 heroes at the same time. That's also, though, where on for Zuber's side, Blink Dagger on Moo going to come up at around the same time Husky's going to have his grip again, and then for Zoomers are definitely going to be the ones getting active, as well as Tib and Gunnar kind of trading with each other right now in the bottom lane, but Gunnar's going to finish up that defusal, again, around that same timing. Everybody's really hitting their mark.
Item timings coming together are really at the same sort of moment, and, well, that's good for us from a spectating standpoint, because that means everybody's going to start looking for that fight around the same time, and could get ourselves a rather sizable engagement. So we shall see how things play out here as we are coming up on that 15-minute mark as well. You see Costabile, he's already got the shard queued up here, so love it to get that upgrade. That's just kind of the quintessential play from the Nature's Prophet, regardless of position now, and it's going to give 4Zoomers even more in the way of sort of pushing power here. So if Mystery Machines start losing some fights, getting heroes picked off, then all of a sudden the pain is going to start to get inflicted to their structures. But comes 4Zoomers, smoked up, blink ready. They pop, though, in the river, and a little bit of a slow reaction from them, actually, as High Shaggy's simply able to get away, but Moo wanted to keep the chase going, and he might still find someone here. Molly Burgos has a TP, though. Empyrean has one as well, so honestly, at this point, they could just both bail out, and this rotation from 4Zoomers isn't really going to get them much.
Yeah, and they do lose the ward, but I think they'll take that. That's your Blink Dagger on Moo reveal, kind of broken up there. They do want to get more damage on these tier 2s now, though, and that's where you have a pretty interesting question for TMM. Do we wait for our next item timing? Do we really need to greed out for Shaggy's BKB and instead give away our glyph and a lot of damage onto this tier 2, or do we still have to be careful here? Because for Zoomers, they're not even going all in for that tier 2. They're still playing in the river in this kind of mid-connection area. It's where Husky is always on the prowl looking for that grip, and if he finds anything, it's very hard for TMM to actually break that up. It's where Mally Burgos needs to be so careful. Anytime that Fisher is committed, you're always going to see Husky look for that creep even more.
They got the siege creep coming up to the tier 2 tower as well. That does force out the glyph, so TMM do sort of bite the bullet on that one, but no one else is coming up here. Molly Burgos is still alone in the defense. Good blink away from Moo. It's going to allow him to fall back, but now, well, now the glyph usage looks a little bit more awkward for them. It just slowed it down. It didn't really provide an opportunity to stop this push. They still lose the tier 2 tower. They're going to be feeling a little bit rough about this one because it will not be refreshed. That's just a tower gone, and yeah, they're trying to get the tier 1 mid in exchange. That might even things up a little bit more, but it's gonna come at a cost. Empyrean is getting jumped in on. That ward's doing a little bit of work for him, but should not be enough to keep him alive as Gunnar rolls in for the kill.
Yeah, greedy Pugna did not want the tower to get denied. Most likely would have gone denied over by the Bane if that, did not stick around. But at the same time, losing your Pugna not the biggest deal in the world, but that's where everything needs to change for TMM. Haven't seen that Blink Echo Slam. Has been a very patient Earthshaker game, but I feel like we're done being patient. I feel like on this next fight, this is where Shaggy's got that first BKB charge, is where he can actually stay in the fight for an incredibly long amount of time. Not to mention that Tib also just completed his Lotus Orb, so when it comes to actually getting your Storm Spirit in there, popping that BKB, you're not going to need to be afraid of that grip. You're going to put the Lotus Orb on him, he's going to jump in, your Storm is going to be unstoppable. If they can time it in between the Rolling Thunder coming back online for Gunner as well, then Presumers are pretty much helpless to that timing. They just need to make sure to not overstep their bounds here, and they are all connected on the TMM side. They also don't want to get this smoke broken up too early as Moo. That's just unfortunate. And now Shaggy's Lotused, and then there's no jump.
Well, that's probably the worst thing that could have happened to them there pre-fight. But yeah, Moo, that's a little greedy, my dude. He's just gonna keep on farming, and they didn't go anywhere. They were still there. You're the one who popped that smoke on him, so you of all people should have known that they were still there. But Moo thought he could get away with it, and as you sort of highlight there, the Obs Ward on that high ground allowed them to see that the DK wasn't showing them that respect, wasn't backing off, and that's not just a kill. That's a kill into the Roche pit, and for Zoomers, they could get over here if they know this is happening, but I'm not sure that they do.
That's a very pretty ward placed by Empyrean. Now it's going to be up to Empyrean to actually keep them out of the pit. And Gunner, do they have burst for this?
Defensive Nightmare, though, going to get Gunner out of there. Costabile now comes in. They're going to drop the Mystic Flare into Empyrean as well, but look at that ward. It just reduces so much of that damage. Empyrean does not fall immediately. He should die as Gunner actually tracks him down. And now we'll see if this fight has a round 2, because Empyrean's going to be buying back. That Fissure doesn't really do a whole lot, but Tib is still on the hunt, looking for Gunner, trying to track him down. The zip in is going to be enough to finish the kill as Gunner falls. Shaggy now in. Molly Burgos blinks in, drops down the Echo Slam. They're going to hit up onto 3. They need a little bit more damage there. Husky is going to fall. They would love Z-Freak as well. They hit him up with a Chakram, slowing down that Skywrath Mage long enough to finish the kill, but now Gunner has bought back, but he doesn't have ult. He used it in the first round of fighting. This is a very awkward fight as Tib is going to try to Timber Chain away, but there's going to be the Fiend's Grip. Husky back into the fight after his own buyback as well. They will find the kill. And ET, it costs a hell of a lot in terms of manpower and money, but they did... Oh, no. They did successfully push TMM out of the pit, but Molly, do they have AoE damage? Just throw it out. Just throw out anything. Anything at all. There you go. Oh, my goodness. If he can somehow steal it...
It's a slam in one. No!
Oh!
Molly Burgos.
Oh, no.
It's so close to being such a cool play. Maybe if he had Tranks, he would be able to kind of heal through, but man, that's the hero. That's the hero of the game right there, going down in a tragic fashion.
That would have been absolutely incredible. To be honest, it still is incredible, even if he doesn't get it, as another fight's breaking out down bot. Double King hit up. Z-Freak dropped down that... dropped down the Mystic Flare, and I think Shaggy, he zipped in, but I don't think he zipped into the flare, so he wasn't able to sort of share that damage, and Double King got taken down. Now Empyrean is in some trouble as well. He's just going to get bounced around by that Rolling Thunder, and L4 Zoomer is trying to get back on track here, right? They sort of lose a lot of heroes in that fight around the pit, but they were able to push their opponents back. They take the Aegis, they find the pickoffs, and now they're right back to pressuring up these towers.
Yeah, I think TMM has to chill a little bit. It's one of the drawbacks of that Shaker. Your opponents know that there is no Echo Slam. I think that's why Molly Burgos doesn't use it for such a long period of time. And they still have an advantage, as Moo does eat a lot of damage here. I think he's super dead. Yeah.
Didn't think Shaggy could do it alone, but if he's got the backup from Tib, then well, your DK is not nearly as durable. And Gunner, I mean, yeah, might as well, right? Speculation, throw some damage in there, see what happens, but really wasn't a fight that he was going to be able to take without his ult, so... This is the problem with Moo on this DK. The Timber on the other side really just kind of ruins a lot of his durability in these engagements. So he's got the BKB coming along. Progress is not great, but should have it eventually, and that could alleviate some of those concerns, but it's still not going to be a great DK game for him.
Yeah, it's always going to be a little bit risky to ever be that far up in the lanes until it gets his BKB. And then he can react to the Storm Zip. Until then, though, it is Not the prettiest time for him, but it's those little pickoffs that TMM are able to get where four Zoomers feel like they need to reset. They have to wait for Mood to actually smoke here, and they do it with Grip coming back up, so this is a very scary timing. TMM need to be so careful. It's where both the Storm and the Timbersaw almost need to be connected, even though it's a little bit rough to be connected in this type of situation, just because, of course, you want to get your farm on that Timber, you want that Ultra Carry. Thankfully, Empyrean, he is the ward, he is the living body that will pay the price for your kind of messed up positioning in the top lane.
Hmm. But hey, as you said, he has to pay the price, but High Shaggy is able to simply walk, well, zip and then TP away. Not quite walking, but you know what I mean. Gets himself out of trouble, and speaking of trouble, what is going on here? Molly Burgos gets himself caught. They'll drop a sentry so they can see him, and this Earthshaker is not getting himself out of this one. He'll try to buy some time with the Fissure. Actually drops the ult down as well, and while he does die, he'll turn it into a trade-off, and Costable has to BKB and TP home. So Molly Burgos, he's going to die no matter what there, but he decides to do as much damage as he can before he falls. However, here comes Gunnar, trying to push into the fight. Z-Freak moving forward as well. They get the root down onto Tib with that Atos, but Gunnar doesn't really want the Timber. He's trying to go after Empyrean. There's the Mystic Flare coming in. That's going to do a little bit of the heavy lifting, and they find the pickoff.
Still a very awkward jump from four Zoomers, though. They don't get the Timber, they don't get the Storm Spirit. The Atos lands just a little bit disjointed from that Rolling Thunder connecting, so they really don't land with any of their lockdown. Mu also had to kind of rush towards that fight just because he had to TP in at the outpost. Strange, a little bit strange from them, but at the same time, you got that Echo Slam used. It's going to be 80 seconds before Mally Burgos can actually be another threat. It's where you do look at the next items coming in through a lot of these TMM heroes. Unfortunately, Double King just doesn't have enough time right now to get that Blink Dagger, even though I'd kind of love for him to do so, just because he feels like he needs that BKB to be that next hero that can run into these fights. It's just without the Blink, you wonder if they're going to have the burst damage for a lot of these kills. At the very least, they keep getting Costabile BKB charges, though, and that's your 6-second BKB. So the longer these fights can actually drag on, the more it's going to favor TMM for that reinitiation. I think Gunnar's Aegis, though, 35 seconds. He's still trying to be obnoxious. He's still trying to burn mana, but with that reclaimed, he's got a BKB to slot out, so it's not like he's going to be any worse off once that Aegis is reclaimed.
And you see in his item queue, he's working his way towards the Aghanim Scepter, so even more damage potentially on the way for him. Of course, you know, I say he's got it queued up. He's going to be working on it, but that's still over 3,000 gold away. But Gunnar can farm pretty damn fast with his Pangolier, so see how quickly he can pick that item up. In the meantime, Molly Burgos finally able to get that Shadow Amulet upgraded into the Shadow Blade, and all of a sudden this Earthshaker's going to be feeling a little bit more useful for TMM in terms of where and when he can push in with the Blink and the Shadow Blade.
Yeah, it's the type of item that also catches you off guard at least once. It's where four Zoomers might not have that complete sentry coverage. It's where I think you need to be careful around those ward spots if you're Mally Burgos. You can't just run into dewarding vision. You need to be so cautious with your positioning. Otherwise, the jig's up. You get taken down first. We haven't seen that team fight play out where Mally Burgos just gets taken out immediately and then isn't able to do anything. But if that ever happens, it is the game blown wide open for four Zoomers to just kind of surge in and take a wash team fight. As they do smoke up again with Shaggy, but it's just on the D ward. They look for Husky. It's not immediate. Oh.
Defensive Nightmares buying some time. They get the disarm in from Gunnar. That's going to lead into the roll, but the BKB does get activated. There's going to be the Sprout, though, and Shaggy doesn't have a lot of mana. He's trying to hold off as long as he can. Will be able to get away for now, but that's still not enough to entirely lead the fight. The Mystic Flare is down. Shaggy dropping low. The Lotus Orb can't protect him. The Shaggy will fall, and now they're going to go straight in onto the Wraith King. They pop his reincarnation, and all of a sudden, TMM have to come rushing back in to try and defend him, but this is going to be a tough fight. But they've isolated Costabile. They're going to just lock him down with the ult from Molly Burgos. They find that big kill, but now they're still trying to get heroes out of here. Tib has all of his mana burned away. Moo blinks in for the stun, ends up stunning himself with the reflection, but it's still going to do the job. Tib's locked down, and slowly but surely here, they will finish him off. Gunnar gets the Empyrean kill. Z-Freak finishes off the Timbersaw, and four Zoomers will take the teamfight win. It's unfortunate that they have to lose their Nature's Prophet there, but TMM really had to commit everything that they had to go in that second time.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. You'd hope you get that kill immediately on the Bane getting that D ward, but because it's in the dark, you use a little bit more mana. You do dodge the Atos from Z-Freak, but at the same time, your BKB is used so early, everything gets kind of dragged out of you. And Gunnar is playing so well on this Pango. Every single time the Pugna is trying to get that life train reset for either the Timber or the Storm Spirit, Gunnar just surges past the core with the Swashbuckle, gets immediately onto Empyrean. It's a really tough Pugna game. He is not having an easy time. We're not getting that fast get out of jail free card that we usually see. At the very least, they get Costabile. They get him because he also pops his BKB very early onto that fight. And of course, 6-second BKB. These team fights are certainly going to drag past that window with the Wraith King in the game. But it's still, they need to find some way to chain down this Pango. Unfortunately, that's where I don't think Gunnar even needed to use his BKB. He was just never under threat. He was never the one they were going to kill.
Speaking of BKBs, though, a couple more picked up here. Move finishes his, and over on the other side, Double King now has one as well. So 9-second BKBs added to the mix on both sides, and for Double King, that one feels like it's going to be particularly effective, because we saw in that last fight, once Shaggy is out of the picture, whether it's because he zips away or because he's taken down, Double King just didn't really do a lot of damage. In theory, he does with the armlet and the Deso, but there's just so much lockdown, there's so many ways that Four Zoomers were then able to just sort of dance around him. So with that BKB, maybe he can get the full sort of complement of his damage into a fight consistently.
Yeah, it is just unfortunate, though, if you are the Wraith King in this game. You're just playing versus 3 cores on the 4 Zoomer side that do very naturally negate that physical damage. Of course, Kosabila had to itemize for it, as NPs do, but he's got an AC of his own. Of course, there's a DK, and there's a Pango with the shield crash. So when it comes to actually bursting down these cores, it's kind of tough. I think that's where Tib kind of picks up the brunt of that workload, but it's still not pretty. It's not easy. And with as many BKBs that are picked up on 4 Zoomer side, it's also where Shaggy really can't do a whole lot of damage past that Vortex. It really is just his initial jump and how clean that actually is. At the very least, though, you still have those wild cards. You still have the Echo Slam just kind of patiently sitting in the background. It's really their strongest tool at this point. They really don't have too many other things to work towards right now. But that's even scarier for Mally Burgos, because if he does end up whiffing an Echo on some BKB targets, again, it's the game blown wide open. Any spell that Mally Burgos uses is just such high priority, as 4 Zoomers have been sitting under this word sentry for what feels like an entire minute here, waiting for the mistake. Now, Double King is not the mistake. They do not want the Wraith King first, especially with the BKB on that second life, but this is a huge fight.
We're gonna go for it. There's the Mystic Flare drop down. First life gone. Costabile, look at him. Trying to be sneaky. Trying to wait on the edges. TMM not gonna take the bait. They will not rush their way forward. They know exactly what you just pointed out. Sure, they can kill you once, Double King, but they're not going to commit a second time with a second life and a BKB, so it is unfortunate that it's still a long cooldown for the reincarnation, but your Mystery Machine, you were just able to back away. You maintain cohesion as a unit, keeping everyone together, and if 4 Zoomers want the fight, they're going to have to explicitly go looking for it now.
Yep, they get something for the World Century combo, right? This is a crazy
really?
TP from Costabile. Oh, they felt him. They thought they would see him, but oh no, they didn't know about the Shadow Blade.
It. Now Double King, yeah, now he's got to just TP away. BKB TP,
The
but
grip.
he's got the Fiend's Grip. Oh, that's a problem. Double King's dead. Empyrean's also gone. Who is still down here? It's Mally Burgos, who is just going to have to try and really blink away and TP out. Can Gunnar reach him in time? Yes, he can. Mally Burgos ain't going anywhere. He's going to get picked off as Gunnar picks up another kill. And over on the other side of the map, Stabile is trying to hunt Shaggy, but yeah, that's the problem. The Storm Spirit's just going to zip away whatever he wants, but the Sprout Leash talent is picked up, so if Costabile does actually get close enough, Storm is going to get sort of caught in the middle for a little while.
Yeah, it's where you hope that Shaggy is privy. You hope that he's aware of that, because if he does zip in and he ends up in that Sprout, then the Ball Lightning will stop and you can just get right-clicked to death. Unfortunately, though, with all of those kills going the way of 4 Zoomers, this is an incredibly free Roche. I think most of these heroes have their Ag Shard. Probably going to give it to Gunnar just because he doesn't have his just yet, but going to be able to pick that up. Going to be able to pick up his Aghanim Scepter with the gold from the Roche kill. They get a gem even. I think 4 Zoomers are really kind of doing everything they need to get just a tight control of this game. Not to mention, you're not really finding TMM finding the moments to really get those D-words done in their own jungle, so they're really struggling to find any more farm.
Now here comes the push. You've got the Elder Dragon form up. You've got the Greater Treants. There's going to be the zip in from the Storm.
He's still here.
Hold on. Yeah, I thought he was just going straight back. He'll pop the BKB now. His TP's on cooldown. The the order of operations has been a little bit messed up here for Shaggy, so he's got to make a bit of a dash for freedom, but... Well,
Oh.
he's okay for now. The problem is they're going to hunt for him, and here comes Costabile. There's going to be the leash, and this Storm Spirit has absolutely nowhere to go. I don't really know what happened there. He just didn't leave. I think the Atos hit him up once they realized he wasn't actually TPing, and now they're going to start
Oh,
losing heroes
no.
elsewhere. Empyrean gets caught out. They get the Nightmare onto the Wraith King. He does have Reincarnation back up, but at this point...
And gripped.
Yep, there it is. Yep. They'll lock him down. They drop the Sprout. This is an absolute disaster for TMM because the Wraith King... That's a nifty blink, but you get to die all of 10 feet to the right instead of where you were before. So... Double King gets taken down. Tibbs even getting harassed up a little bit here, and TMM just felt like they completely lost control of the situation, or at least their understanding of it, because everyone just spreads out at the most awkward possible time, and now Tibb is in some trouble. He's going to get hit up by the Sprout. Gunner rolls his way in. The damage is just constant, and they've got that kill as well.
Yeah, it's 4 kills all spread across the map behind the tier 2. Not like there's any building damage as Mali Burgos is on the prowl, but unless Costabile sits himself in what feels like 2 sets of treants here, I don't think Costabile is necessarily going to die here. And he has Aegis, which is your nightmare situation when you have so many cooldowns that you can actually use. That should be a zip TP though. Oh my god, Storm Spirit's still so crazy. That's your full null talismans there. Lovely, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to get punished for it this time. He should be able to TP himself home. He does make it back into the base. The Freak was sort of trying to track him down. Meanwhile, Moo, a little bit too far forward there, trying to keep the push going while his teammates all backed out. So TMM will find a kill there. The Storm was able to TP home and avoid the gank, and your tier 3 tower is still standing. So overall, not nearly as bad as it could have been, but still have TMM down 15k and in a rough situation.
Yeah, they just need to take this time, farm it up. They want to go for another smoke play. It's going to be a little bit more difficult just because you don't have that Blink Echo. You don't have that instant initiation. Should be able to react if either the NP or the Pango do get gone on here. They love some support kills. They'd love anything that leads into dewarding some of this Forzoomer's vision, but unfortunately, it's just kind of not in the cards here. Especially if Costabile ever finds his way onto you, that's still pretty much a nightmare situation with the Gleipnir. I mean, it's just so messy into these fights playing versus the NP. And they do get to spread out a little bit. I just hope that the vision they place in the next few seconds here is actually going to lead to anything. Because the problem is, you place all this vision down bottom, you're going to have 2 waves in, both top and mid, and then suddenly you're going to have to retreat, and you're going to have to leave your vision. I just hope it doesn't get cleaned up immediately by Husky.
Yeah, the vision's nice, but if they can't do anything with it, then it doesn't really do you much good. So keep an eye on that. In the meantime, here comes a potential push into the top lane. Shriance will lead the charge forward onto the high ground, and Tip is the first one back. With the AoE damage, he should be able to clear through some of this, but he can't hold it by himself. Yeah, he should be scared. Because of that. Moo's going to jump in, gets the stun, gets the fireball. They get the leash down with the Sprout. The Lotus Orb comes out way too late. Tib already dead. Now Shaggy's in some trouble as well. They're going to try and lock him down. Not able to kill him off just yet, but Shaggy, he's running out of everything. No health, no mana. He's taken down. Double King now, the only one on the front line. They'll clean him up too, and this fight's just going terribly. Empyrean is going to die and buy back as quickly as he can. Double King now trying to get as far back into the base as possible, but there's going to be the root from the Atos. They get the silence down. They're hitting him up with as much damage as they can possibly sort of deliver. Double King will die. His buyback is here, but at this point, yeah, it wouldn't do any good. GG called. TMM will call it quits. Mali Burgos will get one last kill there onto Gunner with that Blink Echo, but empty stats at this point as 4 Zoomers will take the win.
1,500 gold for the Shaker, you know? That's something, you know, in the Enals, you know? Something to remember, but yeah, simply, I think a little bit outclassed here. I think the Pango pick was brutal. I think Gunner played fantastically, didn't really ever get caught out. They played, yet again, very well with the NP carry. I feel like this is where, for Zoomers, you know, maybe messing around a little bit versus the SA squad yesterday, and they kind of were like, no, let's just win a few games here. Let's make ourselves look really nice. They've got all of the staples, really, of their lineup, and even though they do kind of play this awkward situation with the DK into the Timber Saw, At the end of the day, Dragon Tail's still Dragon Tail, and with as much space as Moo was making for both Gunner and Costabile, they ended up superbly farms. Mr. Machine don't have that same space maker. They do the kind of cool plays early on where Burgos gets the mid lane, he gets the top lane. They really gave him everything they could. But at the end of the day, you can only use your spell once every 2.5 minutes, and that's just not a pace that For Zoomers is going to let you play at. So, pretty easy victory for them. But I think game two, don't let Mystery Machine get too discouraged here. Still have a stand-in, they could brush it off. And honestly, they had a pretty good game for a while there. They were actually
It's
playing
true.
versus For Zoomers, which is something to say in itself, but they do kind of get outclassed. But again, game two, probably going to see the high Shaggy Storm Spirit again, but I don't think they're going to be too upset about this series at all.
Yeah, they were in there for the first 20 to 25 minutes, and then things kind of spiral out of control, but the fact that you were sort of hanging tough with four Zoomers for as long as you were has to at least be some sort of positive. So we'll see if Mystery Machine can build on that, maybe draw it out a little bit more, maybe even be the squad getting the edge on their opponents. We will have to wait and see. But game number 2 is going to be coming up in just about 10 minutes here, so shall see if Mystery Machine can make the adjustments and get the split, or if it's going to be four Zoomers, they get 2-0 victory. So stick around, right back.